What's your read? What should a mid-scale importer of apparel products be concerned about today?
When up to this last 6 months, I thought I'd seen all, but obviously not. I,
Did we all?
I think the needle has been put back to zero. But you learn and you adapt. Unfortunately, the problem, Ram, is that we are in an industry, the apparel and fashion industry, where in the last 20, 30 years, prices have not only stayed stable, but they've gone down. And I'm talking of retail. When COVID hit, for example, food, you went to McDonald's, you paid like $3 for your burgers, and today you're paying something like $7. And people still end up doing that because they consider that the cost of eating something. As you move up the ladder into more expensive restaurants, the difference in the inflation is highly visible. I think there is a fundamental problem in American retail versus retail the rest of the world. So you don't see that in Europe, for example. In Europe, if there are certain issues which hit the market, Zara will raise the prices. Zara, in fact, has been raising prices dramatically. The Zara of 4 years ago is not the same as Zara of today. Americans, on the other hand, are just falling over backwards to either maintain their prices or even lower their prices. And the category, surprisingly, in a country like America, which is the strongest economy of the world, the strongest category is the discounter. You have the greatest economy of the world, and yet people are raving about Dollar General and TJ Maxx and Marshalls and Ross and how good they're doing and how Costco is, surviving. But the middle tier and the top tier brands are desperate. They are not doing well at all. Their margins are falling on the wayside, which should worry all of us, but it's not.
So fascinating what you're saying. So what you're telling me is like, hey, with a McDonald's burger in 2020, you paid $4 for, now you're paying $7, and people are taking it in the stride. But a $15 T-shirt I bought in 2020 today is probably being sold for the same $15 or maybe even $12, and that's just the direction America is headed towards.
And again, brands are killing themselves. So the same Polo Ralph Lauren T-shirt, which is selling at $75 in Macy's, Polo is happily selling to a TJ Maxx at $19.99. Wow. So brands are cannibalizing themselves, and I think the strategy which used to be evident in America across the brands has just been dying. And I'm as befuddled as everybody else as to why this is happening. The American consumer, unfortunately, has been treated by the brands themselves to go cheap, 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 cheap. And that has not helped the industry at all. And I blame the retailers and the brands for that, not the consumer. The consumer, in fact, would be willing to pay a little extra. Like Apple trained us to pay extra for certain products. But the fashion brands have trained consumers to actually go the other way.